Welcome back and welcome new viewers. Well, you see me moving around. I'm struggling with my camera and I have Mickey Moused it to stay still. So hopefully it's going to stay still for us. And I see it wanting to go in to one side, so I may need to just use one hand and one hand to hold the video. So thank you for being here. Welcome to Tuesday Time Bank. This week I will be talking about a 1940s fashion, actually continuing with the 1940s fashion line. So let's see how this works here. Okay, still trying. I do believe, so that's why you see me trying and trying. A 1940s pattern for women. So let's take a look. So this is continuing what we have talked about last week, that the women's fashion was more of a suit type of fashion. And that's because in the 1940s, women were taking a more important role. The fashion was made for two reasons for women. One, because there was a little hold back in women's material. There was less product or less material. So what was being seen is that they were using male suit material. And the women also were taking a more of a workplace environment. So they kind of mixed those two main important things. Number one, the men were going enlisting in the military, and the women were home taking some jobs, and let's say career, but that's what I say now, but in the old text they talk about jobs. So for women to take jobs, they were being used more in a workplace environment, and because of the lack of material, it evolved into what we see here today. So that's what was discussed last week. This week, I'm going to discuss a little bit about the advanced pattern. The advanced pattern was actually sold exclusively in JCPenney, and it started in the year 1933. So not too long after it became a product. 1933, 45, just a little bit over than a decade, they started to change the fashion as well as the rest of America. So over here we have, it's a one-piece dress. It has the collar much like a male shirt. We have, actually, we have the larger shoulders. So I find that very masculine right here. So the ladies were giving larger shoulders in their fashion. Little pockets on the side, probably just to put little knickknacks in there. Don't see that now in this fashion, come to think of it. And over here on the right, we see her wearing a hat, her gloves, which was a very important feature in the 1940s. They did go ahead and wear gloves in that era. And in the back, as you can see here in the bottom, you can see what the back looks like, more of a free flow, and the print of it being a baby blue, and the paper now is terribly aged, and you can see that it's like a cream to ivory, oatmeal type of a color. So let's take a look what we see in the back. I don't take out any writing whether it be my doll boxes, my vintage doll boxes, or my patterns. So over here, we get to see a little bit of writing, some X marks, and you don't get to see the year. You can tell what year or fashion era it is by the fashion and by the lithograph. So right over here, we're going to see that it is a very masculine type fashion that was mainly used in the 1940s for ladies. So I'm going to take a look to see. Well, I tried letting go of the camera and it just was not working. So let's take a look at the pattern. The way the tissue is on the inside is also a telltale sign of the era of when the pattern was printed. So let's take a look. So look how detailed and confusing this is in here. You don't get to see, if you have seen a pattern of a modern day era, you don't get to see all this busyness in here. There's a lot going on and a lot going on the other one. So let's see here. So we have a lot of information, and the reason why they do this is because of the pattern itself. The pattern itself is completely blank, and the people tailors of that time, they were their eyes were filtered, their brains were filtered to work with these type of patterns. So when I'm done talking on my Tuesday time bank, and if I open this up, I immediately put this back, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened in that time, because if one piece gets loose and starts to walk away, because we know things walk away. So if one piece walks away, it would be terribly hard to know what it is, other than right here. This looks, let's go back a bit. This looks like a sleeve, but besides knowing what sleeve, what pattern it belongs to, and for people that knit, I know that they have boxes and boxes full of yarn. People that sew, they have boxes and boxes of material and patterns. So having one loose like this, it would be a nightmare, I can imagine. So these pieces were blank, and what you can see is that we're using this computerized little dot system. I forget what that was called. That's pretty bad of me, but you know, back in that time, that's what they had. They had punch cards with all these little dots, and they incorporated in the patterns of the 1940s. In the 1930s, the patterns were blue. In the did I say 1930s? Okay. And in the 1940s, we have patterns that are completely blanked out. So the resources were very, very low, and we get to see it by the time capsule of what we have in fashion. So just thumbing through it, and that's all you had back in the day. I remember I bought a nightgown of beautiful, beautiful pattern from the 1940s. I did not open it up, and when I was ready to sew it, I was in shock. That's my leg over there. So let's see what the directions look like. At least they have a direction little booklet here. So with one hand, and I do apologize, we're going to take a look at what it looked like back in the day. So we have a lot. Oops, let's put this to the side. I get to see a lot of the paper or the direction telling you how to align the material. So we have all the pattern pieces here, and they take um, they take a lot of attention in telling you how to align it. And with this, you get to see the A, B's, and C's. And over here, you get to see what A, B, and C are, but they don't really tell you what it is. So if you're thinking of getting a 1940s pattern and you're really, really new, it might be a little bit confusing, but it's really not that terrible. So they're nothing like patterns of today. I do know that Simplicity had been going through some time of doing reproduction, and I'm sure I haven't opened it up. I do have a few that I do love that I bought, but I haven't opened up the pattern to see what the instructions looks like. So next week I'll bring one along with another 1940s and just look at all. We have a full page of telling you what would be the best way to align your fabric and your pattern. So I'm going to open it right now, and let me see if I can, well, the camera's going to go to the wayside while I open up the pattern. So I'm going to be doing it to the wayside as well. So here is the instruction, and it's actually good. It's telling you to crease the pieces, which is the skirt. Then we are going and looking at the pattern pieces again. And right here, it does tell you what they are. And going to step 5, it's telling you how to connect the front and the back, the lining. And this right here, which is really somewhat confusing, right over here. And what is this about? They're calling a placket, so I'd have to see what a placket is. So that's interesting. So maybe it's the pocket. Who knows? And the sleeve. The sleeve is rather beautiful, actually. Very feminine, of having all this fabric, gathering it up, and a very soft material like light cotton, rayon. Would have been nice, but again, that was not a choice of the women of the day to have beautiful fabric. All they had was the men's fashion fabric, which was suit fabric that they had back in the day. So that is the look of yesteryear, of 1940s. Quite a challenge. An additional challenge, I will add, other than having their men, their sons, their uncles, and family members mainly being at the military for war. And I think the fashion was not not much, what should I say, more of a challenge, but definitely one that they had to follow and included in their life. So before I say goodbye, I do want to say that my channel, I'm happy to say my channel is moving to its own YouTube page or channel. And it is called Tuesday Time Bank. So I'm going to be making that transition. And what I plan to do over there is, again, do my Tuesday Time Bank. And I'll be doing it here at Small Favors. But as a transition, what I plan to do when and if I have the fabric, I will be sewing on that channel. I will be sewing, doing live streams, doing work in progress, and sewing the actual product. All my patterns are vintage originals, and thank you so much for making this channel or this episode such a success. I do applaud each and every one of you, all my new subscribers, and hopefully my new subscribers in my new channel page. So all you have to do is look for Tuesday Time Bank. I just started the page, and I will be doing a little bit of work, working it up, and hopefully it continue to be a very good success there. So what do you think of this pattern? Most importantly for me is knowing that the advanced pattern was sold exclusively at JCPenney. That is something I didn't know, and I'm very happy to go ahead and inform all our viewers. So I do have a few more advanced patterns, and I will be showcasing them and talking about them in the future. So taking a little bit of a look, this does remind me of the movie Hunger Games, where the ladies and the girls were wearing this fashion and a little bit of the 1940s, of the 1930s and 1940s together. So thank you so much. Let's take a look at this really, I'm going to say bonkers pattern. This is a tissue, just tissue. So good luck with that, right? So let me know. Have you tried sewing 1940s official patterns? It's going to be a challenge, that is for sure. We'll see you next week. I will be doing a little bit of intro to my new page, Tuesday Time Bank. Hopefully you can continue and support me there. Have a great week. We'll see you next week on the next Tuesday Time Bank. I do have a lot more vintage original 1930s, 1940s, and we'll be talking about those in the next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, a comment, and a share. The shares are helping my channel grow. They're helping new viewers find my content and my playlist, which is a little bit more than just patterns in this channel. Bye, everybody.